Hey everyone, this is Zach from Geek. Today we're going to talk about Godzilla King of the Monsters, full spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, click out. And yeah, as you guys saw probably from my normal review, I love this movie a lot. It's a love letter to all the Toho films in general, especially like the Showa Heisei series with some Easter eggs to the 1954 one, which I'll get to, don't worry, because obviously it's full spoilers, so I'll talk about it. But yeah, overall the film is, for me, like one of the most enjoyable big blockbuster slash Godzilla films I've ever seen, because I see the comparisons between like Transformers and like, you know, Independence Day, and I truly don't get it. I don't see like the important, like the characters, at least in this movie, make sense for what the story is, and I can appreciate it that, because I was invested with the characters. I like the family arc, I like the family story. I thought it was good. I thought it was a nice balance to the monster action, which is insane. But I like the characters because at least they were enjoyable and having fun with the script. Even if the script wasn't the greatest, that's probably my only complaint of the film. But the script, that's just a Godzilla film. But the fact that it was just everyone having fun. You had Charles Dance, you had Bradley Whitford, you had Kyle Chandler, Millie Bobby Brown, Vera Farmiga, Shea Jackson Jr. You had a great cast, and they were all just having fun with like the haminess and the cheesiness of the story, and like the performances were all good, and they sold the characters, and like I believe, like, not like I wouldn't say I believe their motivations, but I at least believe the characters, you know. Like I knew there were like character types in a movie, but they were so much fun, right? They're much better to follow than Aaron Taylor Johnson's Soldier Boy in the first one, because in the first one he wasn't even needed in the plot. It just felt like him and his wife, Elizabeth Folson's character, and his son really just felt like plot, like they're just there to move along, like to follow them so that we can just have a boat to sail through the ocean of the movie. Because then they got rid of their famous best character in that film, Bryan Cranston, like 25-30 minutes in. So it, to me, this movie did a much better job of having cheesy, fun characters rather than have a super serious. Although I was invested in Bryan Cranston's character the most between two films, obviously I think everyone is, but again, they cut that story short and then it kind of just went nowhere. But overall, this film had a much more enjoyable, fun, human characters than the first one. And then the Godzilla stuff and the Mothra, Rodan, Ghidorah stuff is all amazing. So we're gonna go into spoilers now. So this is, you know, I did a mini quick review just for you guys that are watching if you haven't seen my other review. So make sure you guys check that out if you don't want spoiled slash, or if you just saw this little mini review. So yeah, spoilers. First, let me talk about the monsters. The monsters have spoilers because Ghidorah's, talk about him. He's one of the bigger ones. Ghidorah's origin. I mentioned before in my review that, without spoiling it, that if you're a hardcore fan, they do not disappoint with his origin. And what I meant by that is literally when they introduce Ghidorah, he's not named Ghidorah, or like, because every Titan has a codename, like Mosura is Mothra, or like, you know, Mothra. Gojira, codename, you know, Titan Gojira, Titan Rodan. Like, they all have kind of codenames. This one was called, if you're a fan, Monster Zero. And I love that. It was a nice little Easter egg and nod to the old films. So yeah, Ghidorah is called Monster Zero in this film as well as, you know, Ghidorah. And yes, his origins do stay intact. It was back in the day. They mentioned in the movie, in the plot, one of the exposition like things, it is like, oh yeah, apparently Ghidorah, because it was after Ghidorah got his head bitten off by Godzilla, and he was regenerating it, and then they were like, everyone in the room, scientists and all that, were like, oh, I've never seen that shit before. They go in to explain that he's not from this earth, he's not a Titan from this earth, he's a false king as stated by Serizawa. And pretty much they go on to say that in legend there was a legend back in Godzilla's old times when he was like a god or whatever, that there was a dragon that fell from the sky. So Ghidorah is an alien, in fact, for this franchise. He crash landed on here however many centuries ago, millennia ago, fought Godzilla of that time, and died. Or like, he got knocked out and got put in ice and, you know, whatever, and was asleep for all this time. Which explains, again, why in this movie, Ghidorah has, still his gravity beams. He also conducts storms. Everywhere Ghidorah goes, there is literal like rain clouds and like lightning. Literally around Ghidorah, there's just lightning popping off and killing people if you like happen to get caught in it. So it's crazy. So yes, Ghidorah does have that. He has his own iconic like dope theme. And yeah, Ghidorah is awesome in this movie, like very much so, and they kept his origin intact. Mothra's Easter eggs are probably the second biggest because slash big like spoilers wise is because one, her soundtrack is I don't know if, obviously if you haven't peeped the soundtrack yet and you watch this movie blind, they do have the Mothra soundtrack, the music, like her song, and it's beautiful. It's just an orchestral though. It's not like they don't have the monster. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't want to butcher it, but you get the point. But they don't have the vocals, but you can probably sing it in your head. But they do have like the melody and like everything, and it's so beautifully done. Mothra is a badass in this film. Also, there's a character called Dr. Chen, who I thought was like, okay, she's cool and she's sassy. And then when Mothra was breaking free, Dr. Chen is on the Argo, which is a big ship in the sky with all the main characters, and then they cut back to Mothra's cocoon, and then you see another Dr. Chen who's seeing Mothra being birthed. But guess what? They're twins, and they're third generation monarch, and then they show her pictures, or she shows her pictures, and guess what? She's related to like those the twins, and like the whole thing with the lore with Mothra with the twin, like the little tiny like twins that sing the Mothra song and like bring Mothra to life and all that. So I love that her origin was intact, and it was, oh man, I love that part. It was such a nice Easter egg seeing that. What else? Godzilla. A quick Easter egg. His dorsal fins, if you don't know, in the Godzilla novel Aftershock, he fights the Muto Prime, and with the Muto Prime, it basically destroys his dorsal fins. The things on his back, the spikes, and if you, it's something minor, but if you look in the first one, they're more like triangular and spiked, like rocks or whatever. But in this one, because of the Muto Prime in the novel destroying his dorsal fins, and it took him 5 years to regenerate it, he now has pretty much the iconic original. I think they're basically identical to the 1954 dorsal fins. So like now you have the, rather than just spiked rock backs dorsal fins, you have the more like coral, like shaped dorsal fins that I'm more of a fan of, and I love that. It was like a nice little Easter egg. Another thing, Akira Ifukube's, I believe it's how you say it, soundtrack for Godzilla is back and remade and made better than ever. Don't get me wrong, it's the remake is not better than the original, but it is so, they're both epic on their own, right? A 65-year-old theme brought back to life. It is amazing, especially seeing Godzilla when he gets out of the water, and then you see like him coming back up with like, and you hear that boom, 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 and then it just keeps going, and it gave me chills. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I love it. It's so good. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the monsters. Rodan doesn't have much that I can recall. He did have one of the best sequences in the movie with like the air chase in the sky when they led him to Ghidorah. Rodan doesn't have much, but he's still dope. Alright, I think character-wise, the only important thing I can mention for the humans is Serizawa. Serizawa is important, and I love the irony that he had in this film, as I mentioned in my spoiler-free one. His character arc in the past two films has always been like, I revere Godzilla, he's a god, whatever, he's a friend, whatever, you don't, trust him. So, actually, before I get into it, I have to mention one quick thing. In the fight with Ghidorah and Godzilla in the water, the military, guess what? They developed something to kill kaijus. What do they call it? An oxygen destroyer. Yes, the actual thing from the 1954 film, except they don't turn them to like straight up bones, because I think that was just more of an effect thing, like to do that in that movie, to just make Godzilla bones. They do have the oxygen destroyer in this movie that makes a giant like nuclear like green mushroom cloud. It's crazy, but it doesn't kill Ghidorah because Ghidorah is not from this, from this world, but it does basically almost kill Godzilla, and he pretty much has to go deep on the ground to the center of the earth and regenerate from the radiation from the earth. That's how he heals, and that's how he moves. They also explain how Godzilla travels fast. He basically has like these like air pocket like super tunnels that he swims through that basically like catapults him to like different areas of the earth like that. So I think that's really cool too. So Oxygen Destroyer. So Serizawa in this movie didn't develop it. The military did. They almost killed Godzilla, and then in the original movie, Serizawa made the Oxygen Destroyer and then killed himself along with Godzilla and what he created because he didn't want people to recreate that thing that he made. But then you have the ironic twist that Serizawa volunteers to go where Godzilla's at in the center of the earth because it's full of radiation, and he goes with a nuclear bomb basically to supercharge Godzilla and make his recovery quicker. And I love the irony twist to it by sacrificing himself, because rather than killing Godzilla and killing himself, he kills himself and blows up Godzilla, but to revive him. And I really love that twist on the original story in 54 by making Serizawa more of a sympathizer, more of a reverer, more of a believer in these tales, right? So I really love Ken Watanabe's performance in this movie, and I really like what they did with him specifically out of all the characters. The family stuff is not really like spoiler wise, there's not much to talk about with them, but they're still interesting and fun characters to just watch. What else is important? Honestly, the last thing that I can probably mention is the fact that Godzilla feels like the king of the monsters in this movie. But what I mean by that is after he beats Ghidorah with, by the way, he goes nuclear. Like, like when he fought Destroyer. I'm saying it like the nerd said, Destroyer! But when he fought him, he was basically melting down from the inside. He had red chest, red thighs, red beam, whatever, red eyes. He was melting down. He was going to explode. He was going to destroy the earth, blow up the earth, whatever. In this film, because they supercharged him with nuclear energy, he basically becomes that, but it's like kind of, instead of just in his chest area, it's like all the cracks in his skin are all glowing red. His eyes are glowing red. His spines are glowing red. He doesn't do a red beam, but he does these like two red pulses of like just, like if you've played Dragon Ball Z, like super explosive wave. He pretty much does that twice to Ghidorah, and just pretty much he burns both Ghidorah's heads off immediately, and then he pins Ghidorah down, and then he does a third one, like just massive explosion. And the reason why he didn't destroy the earth in this one, the reason I can justify it is because Ghidorah also still has his vampiric abilities. In the fight, Ghidorah, when Godzilla's pretty much down for the count at this point, Ghidorah basically coils his head around Godzilla and bites him, and he's basically sucking up the energy, and you see it, and it's pretty cool. Yes, in this fight, Mothra does die as per usual. Mothra will always come back though. There's always a larva somewhere. There's always something somewhere. So don't worry. But Mothra does die, protecting Godzilla, because that was like her main thing in this movie. Like she's like kind of like she's a literal queen of the monsters and kind of like coexists with Godzilla. I don't know if they're a thing, doing that, but maybe just a symbiotic kind of thing. But she does like protect him and try and sacrifice herself fighting Ghidorah to give him more energy. And yeah. So the doctor dies in the process because she was distracting Ghidorah while Godzilla got back up and did his EMP pulses. But yeah, he did some crazy like nuclear thing, and then he basically pushes Ghidorah down, steps on his chest, and then just does one final giant explosion, and then he pretty much has Ghidorah's head in his mouth, and we think it's Ghidorah, but no, he's just pretty much like wiping Ghidorah's head all over the ground. And then what he does is that he basically charges up his atomic breath, and then he just looks up and he shoots straight through Ghidorah's head, and then you just see like go through Ghidorah's mouth and just eradicate Ghidorah and just kill him for the final like attack. So that was awesome. Again, what I mean by King of the Monsters is that in the end, after you beat Ghidorah, the Alpha Predator at the time, all the other monsters that they decided to show us, like this one big elephant, like tusk mammoth thing, he shows up. He looks cool. This one big spider thing, a Muto shows up too, and then Rodan got like knocked out by Mothra earlier, and he shows back up. But Godzilla looks at all of them. He looks them dead in the eye and he goes, and then he pretty much like shows them like, yo, I'm the boss. I am the alpha. I am the king. And then they all bow down. Rodan was the first one, like, okay. He like goes like that, put his wings up like this, and it is cool because they all bow down like straight up. They're like just on their knees and whatever. And then Godzilla like poses up. He puts his arm to the side. He does his roar. His tail's curled up. The final shot of the movie is like a beautiful like silhouette with him and the sun beating the thing, and then it ends gorgeous. And man, what a film! Pretty much, again, love it. The antagonists were pretty much right. Emma Russell was kind of right about the monsters being like the people to, what's the word? The people to, the Titans being the things that are gonna like save humanity, because everywhere they went in the movie, like everywhere they got decimated, in the end credits you see that like there's like our kaiju things like a next commodity or like a rare thing. Maybe you can help regenerative things or have regenerative properties, and they can investigate. Also, all the areas that the kaiju destroyed is like brimming with life now, like San Francisco, Vegas, Boston. Like it really put in perspective like wherever these monsters go, like rather than leave a radiation wasteland, it leaves a brand new like set of life full of just energy. So the antagonists were pretty much right, but Ghidorah's method was just, he was terraforming the earth pretty much. He was reforming it / destroying it, rather than like, you know, like what Godzilla did and whatever, and like just, you know, and what's it called, save it. So overall, again, same score. Give it like 8 normal movie stuff. As a fan, 9.5 out of 10 of all the Easter eggs and stuff. Let me know if you guys want to see an Easter egg video, because I kind of just covered it here, honestly, because it's a spoiler review and I can't really talk about these things, a spoiler review, without talking about these things. But yeah, I know people complain about one point in the movie where like the antagonist tells the people the entire like plan of the evil bad guys. I didn't find that an issue, because to me, like, sure, maybe the PowerPoint thing that she had, like her video she had ready, was a little cheesy, but again, embracing the cheese factor. But to me, it made sense because she was conflicted, and obviously, like, I get why there's like certain like conflictions with her character, because at one point she was wholeheartedly ready to let her ex-husband die by Ghidorah in the ice, but then she goes out of her way to tell them like the plot and like whatever. And I see it as more like that was her way of justifying, because again, she's thinking she's saving the earth, right? Like Thanos, right? Overpopulation, whatever. But I see it as okay that she told them the bad guys, the good guys, the plot, because ultimately it didn't matter. And then 2, these are people that she's worked with, so she still cares for them. So she's warning them, telling them like, look, yo, I'm gonna let these things go, and you guys should hide. Like, that's what I'm just gonna tell you. So to me, I didn't see that as like a, why is she telling them the plot? It was like, she cares about them. She's worked with them. Like one of them mentioned that she handpicked all of those people in there. So I don't know. I didn't mind that part. But yeah, all the characters are fine. The monster battles were great. Characters were all great, in my opinion. Amazing film. It's heat. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed my spoiler-filled review. Obviously, it's gonna be like a longer, like 18-20 minute video. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys leave a like, comment, subscribe if you share the video if you enjoyed. If you've seen Godzilla King of the Monsters, what did you think about it? Let me know. Leave it down in the comment section. We'll talk about it. If you just follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and my Snapchat for updates, because like I said before, I am leaving out of town on Tuesday, so I will be gone for 2 weeks. So yeah, so make sure you guys do all that good stuff. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video where I'll be covering the end credit scene. I know you guys are going to mention, why didn't you talk about it? That I'm gonna leave for a second video, because I think I have a theory that leading into Kong versus Godzilla, which we do have a first image of, which I'll probably post in the next video. So stay tuned for that, probably tomorrow. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye guys.